Hey everybody, we're back with another episode of the Love Marriage Fantasy Podcast. I am your co-host, Anton Leonard Claiborne, your certified marriage facilitator, your global relationship strategist, and your relationship intimacy advisor. Here with me, as always, is this beautiful wife of mine, who is my co-host. She goes by the name of, what's your name?
Hello, everyone. I am Coach Star Claiborne. I am the co-host of this podcast, as you can tell, since I have been introduced in this manner. I am also your love, life, and confidence coach, author, speaker, and your global relationship strategist. I love to help women find their fun, balance, confidence in everything they do and figure out their power purpose. Today, on today's episode, yes, I got loud on this one because one of the things that all the women have been trying to figure out is, where are the quality men? Like, where are they at? Like, there's quantity. I think sometimes you have to question that, but then where's the quality? So today we have with us Mr. James Dennis, who is going to introduce himself, and then we're going to jump right into the real topic, which is, what are some good qualities of men that we need to be looking for? Like, how do we know? So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is W. James Dennis, and essentially I'm an author and also a consultant. And I do a large part of my consulting actually with men from all age ranges. And at this point, starting to branch out internationally. So I talk to men of a lot of different age ranges and cultures. So, and the topics, I always get this question asked by women, what we discuss. A lot of women just assume it's always of sexual nature, but I think during this conversation, I think you'd be surprised. A lot of the hangups, worries, and even stresses, you can use that word, that a lot of men have in the modern dating world. So it should be really interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good.
Right. So we got the right man. We have the right person on here for you, ladies. We have a man who deals with men. Okay, so
and they're talking about the hangups of the dating process.
Oh, yes.
Right.
While the women are coming on here talking about the hangups of the dating process. So maybe we can get some clarification in this episode.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be good. I'm pretty sure.
All right, so I'm going to start this with one of the serious questions that, or serious issues that women have been raising since season 2. This is since season 2.
Since season 2.
And the dating process. And that is the idea of mental stimulation. Like, that is a huge thing for women, I would say, who are seriously dating. Because I don't know if all women who are dating to be serious, right? Same thing with men. Right. But that mental stimulation has been brought up multiple times throughout this season. And so I would love to hear from you. Is that something that you're hearing from the men on the men's side?
Well, first let me ask, what exactly is meant by mental stimulation? Are they looking for, are they just not finding men that are intellectually on their level, or they're not keeping their interest, or what exactly?
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
because that was his question. Say it right.
No, I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to simplify this. It's both. It's both, because some women have said one and some have said the other. So it's both.
Or they have nothing interesting to talk about, and some of the men just aren't talking. And some of them are just intellectually, they don't have anything to discuss except sex.
Gotcha. I think a large part of that, at least from the men I speak to, and even like when I was younger from personal experience, I think a lot of that has to do with this kind of programming that men come up with, how we view women and how we kind of view ourselves, or are supposed to view ourselves, how we're taught to view ourselves as a man in a relationship. And just to keep it real with you, oftentimes men get in relationships and they don't even want to actually be in a relationship. They don't want to actually be with that particular woman. Unfortunately, what often happens is you meet, you date, you like each other, you end up having sex, and somehow, some way, you just end up being, boyfriend, girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing is discussed as far as expectations, what the man expects from the relationship, what the woman expects in the relationship. You just end up in this relationship. And since oftentimes, just from a male perspective, you don't really want to be there. And men often have a hard time being men about that and saying so, because we have this programming, for lack of a better term, where we don't really want to upset our woman, hurt our woman if we care about her. Not saying he's in a relationship he may not want to be with you, but unless he doesn't care about you and care about your emotions and care about your reactions. So oftentimes he's scared to just be forthright and be a man about what he has to say. So that's one situation. So in a situation like that, yeah, the man's not going to talk a lot. He doesn't want to talk to you. He barely wants to be around you, just to be straight up honest.
Mm.
And in other instances, for some men, they really don't have. They don't have any other pursuits outside of what's normal for them and what's normal for some guys. Just generally speaking, I'm just going to make a blanket statement. It's not true of all men, of course, but just generally speaking, some guys, their whole thought process is come home, maybe they watch sports or whatever. That's it. That's pretty much all they think about. Men are a lot more simple than women may deem them to be, because men do not think like women. Women have a much longer, and I won't use the word complicated, but you guys are much more involved with your thought process when it comes to certain things. Men, generally speaking, we're a little bit more simple. So if a man has a routine, and that's the routine he's had probably since he was in his early 20s, maybe even late teens, mid 20s, it's pretty much the routine he's going to have whether you're in his life or not. So if he doesn't have any other pursuits, if he seems content with, although he might not express that to you, he seems content with his current routine, that's pretty much what he's going to keep. So he's not going to have any other pursuits, intellectual or anything like that, because he doesn't feel the need, for whatever reason, to better himself. And that falls on the man. A man really has to push himself to better himself. And oftentimes, women kind of step in, and they might, in their own way, which is usually the worst way to go about it, unfortunately. But in their own way, they try to encourage the man, do this, do that, help here, help there. And oftentimes, nothing happens. You might even have a discussion, might even turn into an argument, but the man, at the end of the day, doesn't really do anything. He might say something to pacify you, but he doesn't really do anything. And that's because it's not in him to do. It has to be in a man to do to improve himself. And that comes with having some self-realizations about himself and where he wants to take his life. And there's nothing in a woman's position that can really facilitate that. Once he comes to that realization, however, grabbing his back and encouraging him, yeah, that's good then. But until he comes to that realization first himself, there's not too much you can do. So you are going to have these periods where there's not a lot of talk or mental stimulation, because he feels there's no need to do so.
Mm.
So, okay. So I hear what you're saying, and I was going to definitely bring up the fact of women being able to encourage the man, being that, okay, this is a routine that he's been in, right? And if he says that if a man is saying that he cares about your emotions and how you feel, but yet he's in this relationship that he doesn't want to be in, how can a woman go about assisting in that process? Because you care somewhere if you're still there, right? Because if a man really doesn't want to be there, let's just face it, he's not going to be there.
True.
There's something holding him there, right?
True.
So how does a woman, and I know you can't, I'm not talking about changing a man, because I'll tell women now, don't ever try to change a man. It's not going to happen, and it's not going to work for your favor anyway.
That's right.
Nope.
But how do we know how do we as women know that we're going about the right process to even try to help?
Unfortunately, and this kind of has to do with, and again, I'm just speaking in general, but men, okay, well, since your audience is women, let me just explain it like this. When you are in an argument with your man or your boyfriend or whatever, Women, generally speaking, you want to find out what is wrong exactly, because you kind of want to find a way to fix what appears to be broken, right? So you will go try to talk to the man, try to get him to talk. Usually it doesn't work out. So a woman's nature is more that of union. So you're trying to, mend and repair, right? Men aren't like that. We're more, I need to be by myself and go figure it out. If I'm upset, I might not want to talk to you at that particular moment. Let me go somewhere, cool off, think about stuff, and then I'll come back and talk to you. Where women are more, we need to talk now, right? So men are, generally speaking, we actually, as I said earlier, we need to come to that realization for ourselves. There, at a point for some men, you constantly trying to encourage them, actually discourages them. Why is that? Because if you have a woman, and at a point it can even be seen as nagging, not saying it is, but a man may perceive it that way, that you're nagging him. He's going to get to a point where he's just like, well, I can't make her happy. She's not going to be happy. Whatever I do or try to do just ain't really doing anything. We always have to end up in the same conversations.
Right.
She's, saying the same thing over and over. Nothing I do is right. So, F it. I just ain't going to do anything. Right? And that is that man's nature of pulling back, where a woman is trying to pull in, a man is pulling back. And oftentimes, as you were saying, he may feel that you're trying to change him. And if he gets to that point mentally, yeah, he's definitely going to pull back. So a man has to, of his own accord, come to and realizing himself that he needs to improve himself and improve his lot in life. He has to come to that on his own. There's very little a woman can do to get him to that point. After he gets to that point, however, he's definitely going to want a woman, a quality woman, that is going to assist him and encourage him and keep him encouraged, keep him enthused. But before that happens, he has to come to that realization.
Okay, because I was just about to say, but don't men want women to encourage them? Like, don't they say they want a woman to support them and be there for them? But I understand the difference in support and nagging. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also agree with you, speaking to the women. This is very, very important, that you cannot always want an answer right away when you're having a disagreement. You have to separate yourself, and both of you have to go through a thought process and then come back and discuss what you thought to try to come to a solution, because that can be very discouraging, for a man, I'm sure. I know for a woman, if I'm saying I need to think about something, I need to think about it. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely understand that. So that's a good point for the women. Did you have a question?
No. Not yet. I will, but I don't have one yet.
Okay,
Go
so let's go to the qualities of a good man, right? Because like you said, a man has to want these things for himself, and men and women both get into a routine. That's who they are. And women still need to do the same thing, come to a realization that they need to improve on who they are and start recognizing where they've gone wrong as well.
Right.
So that happens, no one can help you, right? So talk to us a little bit about what some of these qualities of a good man are. Like, what are some things when these women are out here dating? Because they want to know, like, I'm dating and I'm not finding quality. I got a whole bunch of quantity, but I don't have no quality. Like, what should they be looking for to say this guy just might be a decent guy, and don't discount him because he's not perfect?
Okay. That's actually an interesting question. And I know women are kind of looking for different things, but just generally speaking, for the qualities of a good man, of course, you want all the stuff that we've all been taught. A man needs to be able to keep his word. A man needs to be responsible. A man needs to have a certain level of confidence, be able to stick up for himself and his woman, and children, if there's children involved. He needs to kind of be a protector, right? He also needs to be a kind of a guide, teacher. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be able to manage the household. But I think one of the first things that a woman needs to look at when she's trying to find a quality man is not listen to what a man is telling you. Let me explain that, because guys, especially guys that are a little bit more experienced with women, they kind of have an idea of what women want to hear. And women are pretty much creatures of sound. Not saying that you believe everything a man says, but if you're attracted to him, you find him kind of interesting, you're at least willing to listen to what he has to say. And you hope it's true. You hope it's true.
Right.
So you really need to look at a man's actions, his daily routines, because a responsible man, he's going to be responsible for everything in his life. The way, I'll give you an example, the way he keeps up his household, the way he keeps up his car, the way he dresses. Now, all this can be faked, and some guys are very good at faking this, but it's the consistency that you're looking for. It's the consistency in his actions. It's the consistency of when he says something, it happens, or you see him working on it. It's even the consistency when he says, I don't do that, or I don't like that. And then, you see him 2 weeks later doing what he just said that he doesn't like to do. It's like those inconsistencies, this is what you're looking for. Because a man that is very self-realized, he really actually knows what he likes. He really actually knows what he doesn't like. He has a very clear set of boundaries, in other words, things, kind of lines that he won't cross, and lines that he will not allow anybody, even this woman, to push him over, right? So he's, I guess the best word is that actually he's very self-actualized in that. Unfortunately, in order to see that and that quality, self-actualization, the man really knows himself and what he wants, takes time. And when I talk to guys, and I do not teach men how to go out and sleep with women as fast as possible. Not that I'm not a dating coach or anything of that nature. That's unfortunately that title has gotten attached to guys that teach other guys how to, get into a woman's pants as fast as possible. That's not what I teach. But I do. Guys have this. Let's just call it what it is. This is fear. They have a fear. And this fear stems from them not understanding what their role is in the modern world, number one, and what their role is with a modern woman, number two. So a lot of guys are really good at faking like they know, but they don't know. And some guys are a little bit too lazy to even try to figure that out. So that's where I kind of come in, with the information that I write and, my consultations and things like that with men to kind of give them a clue. So they can kind of get that information, figure out where the ship needs to go so they can start navigating toward that area.
Right.
Circling back to your original question, yeah. A man that is self-actualized, that's the main quality that you're looking for. On top of all that, of course, the responsibility, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if that man is not self-actualized, if he really doesn't know himself, let me give you this is probably a little bit simpler to understand. When you're out on a date with a man that you find interesting or attractive, ask him some questions like, what does family mean to him? Guys don't think about these things, generally speaking. He really doesn't. So ask him, what does family mean to you? What does a relationship mean? You know what I'm saying? And if he has to sit there and think and he really doesn't have a clear answer, his mind he hasn't thought about those things. Most guys don't. We don't. We're more on our, again, routines in our day-to-day. And a woman is just something that we bring in, but we don't really have any goals for the relationship. We don't have any expectations or standards for the relationship. And a lot of guys get frustrated because in the modern days, some women have more standards as far as relationship than they do. And some guys find that a little intimidating. I'll just call it what it is.
So what I've gotten from you is it's important for the woman to early on during the meeting, let's say that first date. Okay, so during that first date, it's important for the woman to ask him questions about things that wouldn't be like the average questions, things that will force him to expose parts of him that he's not accustomed to exposing. Like you said, asking the man about his views on family. Most men aren't accustomed to that question, and they haven't taken time to think about it. So it's gonna make him vulnerable.
Yeah, I like that.
Right, it puts them on the spot. And men don't like to be put on the spot by women, generally speaking. Some men actually encourage it and they like it and they thrive off of that. But just generally speaking, men don't like to be put on the spot by women. Why? Because they fear like they're looking stupid, or they're scared that they're going to say something and it's going to get a reaction out of a woman that they don't know how to handle. So when you put them in these situations, and I encourage guys to do the same thing when they're out on dates with women, to actually ask a woman, not what do you do for a living, just the regular crap. What do you do for a living? How was your day? How'd you grow up? No, what you're trying to get is into the person. Like, if you're interested in this person, you need to know about this person, not what they do, but who they are. And you don't get to questions like that, generally speaking, on a first or second date. But if your time is important to you, yeah, you need to speed that process up a little bit. So you want to ask these questions.
Yeah, I like when you were talking about how you talk to the men about the you use the term modern role with modern women, and I think that's really important because a lot of people are taking what they learned way back when and trying to incorporate it into now, not realizing that the women that you're looking for, we're not way back when.
Right.
And we have different views now. We are, a lot more women, their minds are open a little bit more. I'm not saying they open, but they're definitely a little bit more open than the full traditional woman, right? And I really think that's important that you put that in there about the modern roles and modern women. So, because you look like you have something.
No, I don't.
All right, so with the women, and it's funny because you just said don't listen to what the men say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But more pay attention to their actions, which I agree. Consistency tells you everything. Trends tell you everything. But the women have been saying, listen to what the man is telling you because he's telling you everything you need to hear.
No. A man is
what you just said.
A man has been taught in order to. Okay. This starts when a boy is very young. We have this thing where we try to impress. We feel we need to impress at the young age to impress a young girl. You know what I'm saying? So if I play basketball real good and I'm on the court and I have some girls around us watching us, yeah, I'm gonna try to go ahead and make the good plays. I'm gonna dribble a little bit harder. You know what I'm saying? Because we want to look impressive to garner the attention of the young girl, right? This does not change for some guys. Some guys never grow up. You got to understand this. They're not men. They're still grown-up boys. They have the mental capacity of a boy. They're not responsible. They don't know what it means to be a man. Just because you grow up does not make you a man. Kind of veer off. Let me go a little bit deeper into that, and then I'll come back. But you got to realize, like in older cultures, men had these kind of rites of passage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll use Native Americans as an example. And then in some Native American tribes, in order for you to be considered a man, where you were considered by the tribe to be capable of having and taking care of a family, you had to go through a rite of passage. In some Native American tribes, they used to send you out by yourself, and you had to return unharmed. So you're out there by yourself for a week or whatever. You have to get your own food, hunt. You have to get your own shelter, and you have to come back unharmed and healthy, obviously. And that was kind of a rite of passage. It was kind of this initiation from boyhood into manhood. And if you came back successfully, all the other men in the tribe would look at you and say, okay, you're ready. And then the women of that tribe would also be like, okay, he's ready, right? Now, we don't have that nowadays. The closest thing to a rite of passage is, at least here in the West, in the United States, is, I turned 18, right? I'm 21 now, so I can legally go to a bar and drink. Those aren't rite of passage. There's nothing in there that psychologically indicates to a young boy or a young male that he's now a man, right? I bought a car, I'm a man now. None of that really makes you a man. But we have been taught that is the things that make you a man. So get back to the original question, because what we're really talking about is a man is, if he's somewhat experienced with women, he's not going to give you the real deal. And this is on him, right? This has nothing to do with the woman. This is on him. He's trying to be impressive, or what he thinks is impressive. He's trying to sound impressive. Like, some guys are really good at putting on a show, in other words. They act confident, but they're not really confident. They have a nice vehicle. They might dress nice. They look nice, smell nice. House might be nice. But that's all show. Because if you actually get to know this man, you'll find out he still has, or may have, what are considered boyish qualities. He might run from responsibility, right? That's just one example. So some guys never grew up. So since that boyhood of trying to impress women, or feeling the need to impress women, get their attention so you can get them, some guys never grew out of that. A self-actualized man gets to a point where he doesn't feel the need to have to impress women anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because he's very confident and sure in himself and who he is as a man. So at that point, all he's really looking for is a woman that complements that, so they can grow together.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this friend of mine. She's a friend of mine, and she said something to me, and she knows, I'll tell her in a minute, like, you're crazy, right? And I'm like, how did you come to this conclusion? But she told me, she said, I bought this bookcase and I have these issues, physical issues.
Okay.
And I said to this guy that he says that he likes me, I said to him that I bought this bookcase, and he never, I still laugh. And when she hears this, she's going to probably come and say something to me, because I just can't help but laugh at this. She said, if he really was about his business, he would have offered to put this bookcase up for me. I wouldn't have had to even say, hey, can you come over here and put this bookcase up for me? What are your thoughts on that?
That's unfortunate for me to say that. That's unfortunate that she thinks that way. Men, just like women, are not good at everything. Some guys are not good at building.
I wasn't thinking about it from that.
Some guys are not good at taking care of a car. You know what I'm saying? Some guys are not good with, I don't know, managing certain parts of a household. Some men just aren't. We're not good at everything, ladies. And I know some women expect us to be. And when a woman needs assistance, you might expect us to, quote unquote, step up. Oh, I'll take care of that. Some men aren't like that. And it may not be that he may have wanted to. He may have actually wanted to. Why didn't he offer? Because he might not be good at it. So actually, is that really helping you? You're both sitting there looking at this bookcase
Right.
for an hour. I mean, what is that productive? You know what I'm saying? That might have crossed his mind. So yeah, you know, just
right. So to avoid that awkward,
yeah, it's like I'll just let that go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think in my mind, I was just saying to myself and to her, like, just because he didn't offer doesn't mean that he's not a man, you know.
Exactly.
You don't know what he had going on. You don't know if he may not have even felt like doing it right now, and that's okay. But, you know, I think some women really do get into these expectations that a man is supposed to always help them, and it's an unspoken thing. If it seems like it's not for a woman to do, then he just needs to automatically step up and just say it. And I shouldn't have to ask. And I feel that's really unfortunate for women. And I personally, and you two can speak, but I personally feel like that's really a downfall in women, because that's where a lot of that lack of communication starts, because they're expecting men to say all these things that they want to hear. But then, like you just said, you're like, don't listen, right? He can say it, but if he's not good at it, what difference is it going to make, right? And then you're expecting him to step up and do things that he may not be good at. But I think that's a downfall for women, and I think they really, I think they lose out. I think a lot of women tend to lose out because of too many expectations in men.
I 100% agree with that. A lot of women do lose out for their expectations. I agree.
So then the question that comes to my mind is, if women, well, we know women have expectations. if she's walking around with this list of a checklist that she
Right.
swears by and says, if he meets all of these checkpoints, then this is the right man for me.
Right.
Is it okay for a woman to do that? Is it smart for her to do that, knowing that, like you said, men have been pre-programmed? Is it smart for her to walk around with a checklist like that and her expectations?
As far as expectations, there's nothing wrong with having expectations. The problem is unrealistic expectations.
Okay.
And unrealistic expectations. And I tell the same thing to guys too, man. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
Yes, you do need to have some standards for the people that you want to get in a relationship with and date. Standards as far as things that you stand on, that you're not willing to compromise on. But at the same, be reasonable. Nobody's perfect. Nobody. You can have a checklist all you want, but the odds of you being able to check all those things off your list extremely small. And I tell guys what you're looking for is probably a good maybe 70% of your checklist. You got a good 70%, man. Hey, you're in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, of course, you really need to have that communication. Going back to your friend with the bookcase, yeah, the man could have communicated. Not saying he's required to, but yeah, he could have communicated and be like, you know what, I would help you, but I'm really not good at it. You know what I'm saying? It's just something like that. And she would have reacted the way she reacted. But yeah, men are not in a position. Well, I shouldn't say in a position. It's the wrong terms. But men are not, in mentally saviors. I'm just gonna keep it plain. A lot of women think men need to save them whenever they're in distress, whenever they're need help. They expect their man to come in and save them. Ladies, stop.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Stop.
Right.
Just because you can't do it or you think you need help with it, all of a sudden the man just instantly knows how to do it, and a man just instantly knows how to, remedy the situation. Again, unless that man took the time to learn and understand that particular situation, he's not going to be good at it. Sorry. And he may end up doing more harm than good.
But what if he is good at it?
Okay, that's different.
I got this back issue or I'm not feeling well, and I tell you I bought this bookcase. Is that still okay? I know you did, and I know you can put together this bookcase. So why the hell you didn't just say I'll come put the bookcase together for you?
Okay, well that gets into another topic about communicating properly, but
right.
But yeah, I mean, if the man's good at it, yeah,
my husband is great at hanging photos and pictures, but for some reason he makes me do it myself.
I don't know. No. Let me clear something up here Let me clear something up here for our audience, for our listeners. I am a person who believes in preparation.
Let me tell them, he is a person who believes that you should know how to do it yourself at all times. He believes in equipping you and helping you to know how to do it. So now that I know how to do it, I get it.
Because what if he's not around?
So that if something happens,
what if he's not around?
I'm getting there. So if something happens to him, then I know how to do it. However, like you said, what if he's not around? In our case as women, we're saying, but you are here. I know how to do it if you're not around, but you're still here. So why can't you just do it?
Okay, now let me explain. let me explain why I react in that way. I am also a huge advocate of fitness, physical fitness. So, and you know this to be true. So if I'm in the house and there's a task that needs to be done, if I know that you are capable of doing it, at that point, I'm going to play my physical fitness card and say, do it yourself because I know you know how to do it. And exercise is always a good thing. You cannot be, can I finish?
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
So you cannot be upset with a man who knows your capabilities and wants you to exercise your abilities. You can't be upset with him.
I agree. So I brought that up for a reason to say to the ladies, in your defense to a certain extent, and because of what Mr. Dennis said, about we want to be saved, because we do. It is true. If you were capable, we would love for you to do it for us. We don't want to do it. It's just what it is. But to the women, that just goes back again to the point of not allowing that idea to stop you from finding somebody good. Because even though he makes me hang the pictures every time we move, which actually you did it this time, thank you. Every time we move or something happens, he's not a bad guy, clearly, because I'm still with him, right? So there are certain things that, yeah, we want to be saved and we want them to do it because they're here. And as much as I hate that he makes me do things that I just don't want to do, that he's capable of doing.
You now know how to hang pictures, so you can do it without me being present.
But you're present, but he's still a good guy. That's the point that I'm trying to force here, okay? Not the fact that I'm doing things that I don't want to do, because he's actually present and able and capable of doing it, okay? The other point is he's a good guy. So don't discredit the fact that don't let the guy go by because of one or two things.
Okay, so let me get this clear. You're saying that they shouldn't let a guy go by just because of one or two things. Like your friend could be letting a good guy get away just because he didn't want to come and put this bookcase together.
Potentially, and not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't offer at the time that she wanted him to offer.
All right.
And of course, with that situation, it could have been other things prior. I'm just saying that's what was brought to my attention at that point in time. So my question was, so what? He didn't offer. Why didn't you ask? That was my question.
And that's
Why didn't you just ask?
Very good point. Could have asked.
To do
it's been straight up, straightforward, and just asked.
But her thought process was, no, he should have offered. So
and I find that.
So then,
a lot of women.
So can we say that him offering would fall under the quality of being responsible as a man?
No.
No, I'm asking.
I'm sorry, I'm supporting the man. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
I'm asking.
That by definition, that does not, it has nothing to do with being responsible. By definition, that does not, let me give an example. Like, okay, going back to y'all's example, that, Anton, you're more than capable of hanging pictures. Sabrina's more than capable of hanging pictures. But you leave it on her, because the truth of the matter is, and this is kind of how, in general, men think, it's like you're capable of doing it yourself. And it's not that we don't want to help you. It's not that we don't want to assist you. It's that as a responsible man, you need to make sure that your household is able to function if you're not there. So if, as an example, Anton needs to go travel out of the country for a couple of weeks, go do some speaking engagements or whatever, he feels very, very comfortable doing so, because he knows that everybody in the household is going to be able to step up and run the household while he's gone. This is how men think. It's this inherent need of feeling everything is secure and protected, and women don't view it like that. And I understand why they may not, but that is part of the reason, what I'm saying? Now, that's how I am in my house. Although I may be capable of doing things around the house, I still have my lady do some things that I know she can do. And that's because if anything happens to me, or if I need to go somewhere unexpectedly, let's say one of my family members pass away or whatever, and I need to be gone, I'd like to know that while I'm gone, taking care of that or whatever, the household's fine. It's something else I don't want to keep in mind.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry. Did you have something else to say?
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. So once you know that we are capable, why do you keep making us do it? You know that we don't care to do it. You've already made your point that my lady is totally capable of making this happen if something happens to me. So now I'm going to pick this back up because I know she doesn't like to do it.
Okay.
Okay, well, maybe we don't like to do it.
That is a good point. Why not just say, I don't like
I know it needs to get done.
Instead of saying, because what
It needs
most
to get
men
done.
will do, I think this is the communication part.
Exactly.
Instead of just saying, I don't really care to do it either. So, why not just say that? Instead, it's just, you know how to do it. You can do it.
Yeah, and that goes down to the communication part.
Mhm.
It really does, because communication is extremely important. Women inherently understand this, men not so much. Um, we are, or we have been programmed not to communicate certain things that we're feeling, which is unfortunate. But again, we have this still boyishness in us, some of us anyway, where we want to always look impressive. We want to always look like we're, okay, even when we're not. And I'm talking about mentally and emotionally. Even when we're stressed, we don't want to look stressed. You know what I'm saying? Um, some guys, I know some guys are just way too sensitive, but that's a whole another topic. But for a quote unquote man, yeah, he's not really gonna want to look vulnerable. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just this thing that we have been programmed. Don't look vulnerable in front of your female. You know? So there's certain things and ways he's gonna react to things that you may deem as oh, he's not communicating, or he's not letting me in to him, and he's been programmed not to, unfortunately.
Hmm. So would you, because I know you mentioned, a woman should look for a man who has at least 70% of the things that she wants in a man. Would you say that a woman should, after settling down with a guy, a woman should um, try to rebuild him if something happens and he becomes like his confidence becomes broken, or someone tests his confidence and he fails? Should she stick around and try to rebuild him as a man, or should she say, well, this isn't my job to do this? You're a man, you should be able to pick yourself back up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
Yeah,
she
and again, that
should
goes
stick
back to
around?
the expectation. When a man's down, real simple example, like if a man's has a flat tire on the side of the road, how many other women or men, for that matter, are going to stop and help him? He's automatically supposed to. He'll take care of himself. He's a man.
Right.
But a woman's tire breaks down, somebody's going to pull over. Most of the time, they're going to pull over and help. Again, it's this social conditioned programming that a man will find a way to be okay. And women inherently like that quality in men, that no matter what happens, he's going to find a way to be okay, and also ensure that she's okay and their children are okay. They like that quality. But going back to your question, if that's ever shaken or broken down in a man, he may not know at that particular time how to rebuild that in himself. Like when um, I used to hustle. I used to be a street hustler. I did. And when I got locked up and I lost pretty much everything I worked for, yeah, when I came out of jail, after those first few months out of jail, and I'm looking at everything I lost, that's where my attention was. It shouldn't have been that way, but that's where my attention was. Like, dang, man, I lost this. I lost that. I can't do this anymore because, I didn't really have that money coming in. I can't do this anymore. I can't do that anymore. And I was in a state of pretty much semi-depression for about a year, just to keep it real with you. Now, I was able to pick myself back up, but the woman I was with at that time, the best way she assisted me was by making sure I was focused on getting myself back on track. She didn't nag. She wasn't happy with some of my what became habits at that time, because there's a lot of things that when you have money you can do, and when you're very tight on money you can't do. So this was very discouraging to me. But she never threw it up in my face a lot. Every once in a while, when she was irritated with something, granted, that's fair. But she never threw it up in my face a lot, and she never devalued me as a man, because in this example, she actually knew me prior to me being locked up. So she knew what I was capable of. So she just wanted me and encouraged me to get back on track, but she didn't force me. She didn't have this routine for me. She didn't nag too much about it. So I eventually did figure it out for myself. And again, this comes to a man being self-actualized. The realization I came to was I had based who I thought I was on what I did.
Right, right.
And just because that's what I did, that's actually not who I was. And once I came to that realization for myself, then I was able to get myself back on track. But yeah, she gave me space. Not too much space, but enough space for me to realize that.
So I was.
So then you would advise a woman to stand by a man's side if he becomes broken for some reason, or but only if she knows he's a man of standards and he's capable of pulling himself back up. If
Yes,
she feels as though
that's
he's not,
yes.
then she should, maybe consider going in a different direction.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If she's confident that he will figure it out eventually, he'll get himself back on track. She's very confident that, yeah, then stand by him. He'll get it. He might not get it when you want him to get it, but when he does get it, yeah, he'll get back on track.
So would it be irritable, I guess, to a man, and maybe not, but would it be irritable to a man if a woman who you're with, that this woman cares about you, she sees that something is going on, to say to you, look, something is going on, this is what I see, right? Even though you may not see it, does that irritate a man? Because sometimes we can see things and we're like, look, something is going on. I don't know what it is, or we might know what it is. Like, this is what I see. You need to take some time and think about this. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Does that irritate a man?
It can, but it depends on the man. It really depends on the man, because it's kind of a personality thing. Like for me, like I don't mind hearing that. I can take that. And honestly, I probably already know that in my head. I might not be paying attention to it, but what you're bringing me is like, yeah, okay, that did cross my mind. Yeah, but for some guys, yeah. Again, with that programming, social condition programming, where they're no longer looking manly, yeah, it could be an irritant to them because they don't know how to fix it. They can't fix it right now. And now you've thrown it in his face. He's just like, you don't want to hear it at that particular moment. So yeah, that's that man.
So
We're going back earlier, that kind of pullback that some men do when they're in that state.
So how does a woman address that then? I mean, I know you're saying stand by his side, but if I see my husband going through something, right, and I feel that there's some disconnection there, my first thing is, hey, I don't really know what's going on. I'm always asking, is it something that I can do? Because that's just me. But again, for other men, this may be irritable, and it's not about throwing it in their face. That's not what we're intending to do. We're just saying we see something, we feel the disconnect. What's going on? Like, what's the issue? And I know they don't know. What's the best practice with that? Because we're getting irritated over here too, because you're not talking and you're not telling us that you already know that something is wrong, right? Not in our case, because we communicate very well, but I know relationships where the man is not saying, I know I have something going on, give me a minute. What do the women do in that case when their man is not talking to them?
Don't force them to talk. And women don't like to hear that, but trying to force a man to talk about what's going on inside of him, like mentally and emotionally, most guys, and this is just general, it's not true of all guys, but most guys, yeah, then you're actually going to potentially push him further away from you, honestly. Because like, we were talking about earlier, women have this thing of like, okay, something's broke. And like you were just saying, like, okay, what's wrong? Like, how can I help? What do I need to do? Or whatever. Women are like that. That's that kind of union that they have. They want to keep that union intact. Men, when we feel things are out of whack or out of line, we often pull back. And women don't like that. But sometimes you just need to pull back. Now, I'm not saying don't bring it to his attention. I'm not saying, but you can go ahead and address it. But just do not expect him, or I should say, better yet, don't expect a certain response from him. Say what you need to say, but do not expect any particular response. Response negatively, so be it. If he responds positively, so be it. Just go in there with the intention that I'm going to say this because it's on my mind, and just leave it open. If you'd like to talk about it, we can talk. If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine too, but this is what I see. I am really curious and really want to know what's going on exactly. And when you're ready to talk about it, we can talk about it. Doesn't have to be now. That's it. Just let that man have some space. Women have, sometimes you guys have bad timing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you guys have really bad timing.
I agree. We
You guys
don't
have
know.
really bad
We
timing.
don't know until you tell us. I'm just
Well,
saying.
I disagree. I
Because
disagree.
we're
I think
nurturers. We want to know. We want to know what to do, what's going on, so we can try to
Mhm.
help. Which we know we
Right.
can't do everything, but we sure as hell gonna be trying to think about that shit because you're connected to me emotionally. So I'm like, whatever is affecting you, damn it, that shit is affecting me too.
well, and see, I'm glad you mentioned the emotional connection, the emotional effect that it has on you, because I was disagreeing with you when you were saying that the timing that women have is bad, and it's bad because y'all don't know when you should say something. I don't think that's you being, not you, but women being honest. I do think you know when you should say something. I think the problem is you don't say it when you really feel you should say it. And I'll tell you, if you were to say it when you feel it in your emotions, that would be the right time to say it.
But see, I disagree because sometimes, and I'm gonna tell you why. I
Okay.
understand where you're coming from, but as a woman, sometimes when we see our partner like really going through something, our mind, depending on the relationship that they have, that woman is feeling anger because this man is not saying, listen, I'm going through something, just give me a moment. And when you're not at least acknowledging the fact, and we're trying to guess that you're going through something and you're not acknowledging that, the first thing that we're feeling is, yeah, we feel that you're going through something, but we're also feeling anger at the same time because you're not communicating with us that you're going through something, and just tell us so we can step back for a second. So that's why I say I disagree to a certain extent, because if we said it when we really felt it, more of the anger might come out than the nurturing side of us, even though we're feeling both.
That okay. I understand what you're saying, but I disagree with you on that, because even before you get angry, you become aware that something is going on. That something that you are aware of is what's triggering your anger. So
Correct.
if you say something, the moment you become aware of it, that's the time you should say it. Even if all you're saying is, are you okay? Even if that's all you say, that may be what he needs to hear to get him to start opening up. He may not say anything, but he may start feeling like, okay, she sees something is going on. Maybe I do need to let her know something is going on.
Okay.
And then he may say, okay, I'll tell you about it later. That might be all you're gonna get.
Okay.
But he'll
fair.
give you that much. But for you to see something going on but not say anything, that just makes the whole situation start to grow larger and larger and larger. And then eventually it may turn into something that becomes an argument instead of a discussion. But I did want to ask you about this because I know we talked about the qualities of a good man, and the one thing that I try to get all of our guests to talk about is sexual issues, because I'm a relationship intimacy advisor. All right, so when a woman is, and this I'm bringing this up because this also is going to bring in what you were saying as far as saying something when she realizes something is wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so is sex a quality that a woman should look for in a good man? And if so, right, when she realizes she has a man who provides her with good sex, but then something starts going wrong in that area, whether it's his attention starting to sway or whatever, should she say something right away, or should she wait to see if he's going to get it, if he's going to work it out?
Yeah. Well,
should sex be one of those qualities that a woman looks for? And if it is, if she ends up with a man who has good sex and something starts going wrong, Should she say something right away or wait to see if he's going to work it out?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If sex is important to you, that's absolutely a quality you should look for. Absolutely. Because just like a man and women are the same way. If you're not happy in that area, it starts to affect other areas of the relationship. It does. As far as bringing something to a man's attention in that area, if a man's confident in that area and he knows he's not performing as he normally does, he already knows it. He knows it.
Mhm.
So just bring it to his attention. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm always, like I said, I'm always big on communication. It's just that sometimes the way things are presented when women bring issues to men, it's not the fact that you're bringing it to him. It's the way you do it. It's the way that you do it that sometimes causes the friction. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So if he knows, if he's confident in an area, he knows he's not performing well in that area, he already trusts me. 9 times out of 10, he already knows. Matter of fact, as soon as he's, you're pretty much done with that session, he already has it in his mind, like, yep, didn't quite, it wasn't quite to my standards, was normal. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes to a guy, sex is just sex. Now, as far as his attention swaying or whatever, some men, this is not true of all men, but some men, yeah, if we have a lot on our mind, he's not going to perform well in the bed. He's mentally distracted. A man has to mentally be there. Just because he's stimulated and doesn't mean he's mentally there. His body obviously is there. He's performing, but he may not mentally be into it. He's thinking about some other stuff. This happens with women too.
Yeah.
I think that a woman should tell a man, only because if we don't, then we're getting irritated, just like when you don't have sex, because you don't have nobody to have sex with. You're angry at every damn body. You're mad. And I'm just going off all these women I talk to every day. Not nobody. They mad because they ain't got nobody to have sex with and they don't want to go sleep with anybody. So if you have somebody that you can sleep with and they're not performing, you don't want to wait until you get frustrated. Because I think then it turns into a blaming factor. Instead of, hey, this is what I'm feeling, how can we fix this, or how can we work together? It turns into a, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and this hasn't happened for a long time, and then it really becomes a big issue at that point.
I agree.
Right.
You can't really turn into that when it doesn't need to.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't need to. It should be the sex issues, whether good or bad, it should be something that you're comfortable talking to your partner about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's an important part of a relationship.
Going back to the beginning real quick, when you were talking about the consistency factor, right? You want to look for consistency. Would you put a time frame on that for women? Because a lot of women, they go by these different rules of how long they're going to date somebody before they decide they want to be in a committed relationship or move in or anything like that. Like, what are your thoughts on that from a man's perspective?
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because women do have this kind of timetable. Some women have this timetable in their head, which is funny because guys generally don't. So from a male perspective, yeah, this is kind of frustrating to us that you have us on a timetable. It's a little frustrating.
Right.
It is what it is.
I can imagine. I'm gonna wait 3 months.
You got right. I was gonna say you always say, well, we're on our 3rd date, and by the 3rd date, we should be at least talking about being serious about dating or being in a relationship. What do you mean? We barely know each other. I start talking about boyfriend and girlfriend, and I've only known you for 3 dates.
Okay, but what's considered the consistency? What time would you give a consistency?
And women do this naturally. You guys, women are very observant. You're observant in a different way that men are. So a lot of these things, just being around this guy, just being around him, if you can. Long distance relationships a little harder, but if you're able to be around this man, which you guys already do, you just pay attention because women learn their man if they're actually interested. They learn them. You know, men, we don't really learn our women, generally speaking. In the same, we learn our woman, but let me clarify. We do learn our woman, but it's not in the same capacity that a woman tries to learn, right? So there's no timetable to it. There's no timetable to it. There's very simple, and actually I got this from you, Anton, which is very true. You can look at the kind of music a man likes, the kind of movies that a man watches consistently, the kind of music he listens to consistently, because men are drawn to things that are interesting.
Right.
You know, that never changes. Like when I was in what, 5th, 6th grade, I'm going around the school talking about I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse. Because I just like The Godfather. I didn't know what that meant, but I just thought it was cool as hell to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now that's like 5th or 6th grade. Now I'm 40 plus. I still love The Godfather. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I still love The Godfather. So, you know, we do. Men are just, we're not as complicated as women think we are. You know, we're not as complicated as women think we are. That's just the bottom line. Women are always looking for things that sometimes aren't there. You know, not to get off the topic, but sometimes women are just looking for things that are not there. And you're trying to put a puzzle pieces together for a puzzle that doesn't exist. So sometimes when you bring stuff to a man, he's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? But you put A, C, and D together, then you threw in B, and you know, that alphabet don't even need to be made at all. You know what I'm saying? There's no, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. So, and now the woman's a little frustrated. What do you mean? Then this, and this, and this, and that. And the man's just like, huh? How did you go from here to there with this? You know what I'm saying? Again, not to get off topic, but it's just that lack of communication, you know, and kind of a lack of understanding. But let me bring it back. Yeah, so it's this consistency. You can just watch a man, like you watch his habits, watch the movies he likes, watch the television shows he watches television. This is what does he do? You know what I'm saying? A man that listens to, as an example, that watches a lot of horror movies, there's a reason he watches a lot of horror movies. You know, at that point, once you recognize that, it's just as simple a matter as what does he get out of watching a lot of horror movies?
Right.
What does he get out of listening to this particular genre of music? You know what I'm saying? What does he get out of it? If you go over to a man and he has a lot of books, you know what I'm saying? Obviously he reads. You know, I'm not saying be nosy, but you can just glance at the book titles. If he has a lot of books on finance, well, guess what? That man's into finance. You know, at that point, it's just, what is it about finance that's fascinating? He has a lot of books on, a lot of fiction books, and they're all in a similar genre. You know, fantasy books or whatever. Well, he's obviously interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, it's just you discovering why is he interested in that particular genre of fiction books. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of this stuff, like I was saying, just for me, some of this stuff actually sends back to his childhood. He's always been drawn to. And men kind of dig into things that we're really interested in.
Okay, so, and I know eventually we got to wrap this up, and we will. But so in the midst of all that, I interrupted you. My apologies, but I'm gonna ask again, and I'm gonna ask my husband too, even though he's married, because I'm gonna tell him to take me out of the equation, as though we are not together, and fantasize that he's in the dating world again. What do men want? Because women will tell you they want financially stable, they want trustworthy, they want loyalty, they want this. But of course, we always say drill down and be more specific about those things. Respect, what do you mean by respect? So and either one of you can go first, what do women want?
What do men want?
I mean, what do men want? Yeah, men.
Okay.
What do men want?
I'll go first. Well, I'm not going to try and speak for all men, first of all. That would be foolish of me. But I will say, for me, I want, and I've told you this multiple times, I want a woman to just be honest. That's it. Because you being honest with me will let me know that we can go anywhere and we'll still be good. But if there's any moment where you can't be honest about what you want or who you are, then we have a problem.
Yep.
But as long as you're coming to me and saying, you know, babe, I know we said we wasn't going to eat swine, but I've been craving some pig ears and pig feet, and I just went out and bought some. I'm not going to be mad at you because I'm going to say, you know what? If that's what you feel you need to do, do it. I'm not going to join you, but if that's what you want to do, you do that.
Taste it.
But I appreciate the fact that you came to me and let me know this is what you're going through. So now we can have a discussion on this and see if we're going to be able to move forward after this. We probably will, we probably won't, but we won't know on this unless you be honest and say, I want some damn pig ears and pig feet.
Right.
You've been holding that in for 2 years, and now you're finally getting it out. You could have had 2 years of pig ears and pig feet. So for me, I just want open honesty.
Okay. All right. Okay. Mr. Dennis.
And again, I can't speak for all men. So just generally speaking, going off of what Anton was just saying. And again, I'll speak to women, and I don't say they don't like to hear this, but it's not the answer they're looking for. But you know what a man really wants? He wants peace. He wants peace. He wants a peaceful household. You know what I'm saying? If he has a career, he wants, peace in his career. A man just wants peace. You know what I'm saying? He wants it to where everything is functioning smoothly as possible. I mean, it's life. Not everything's going to function smoothly. We all understand that as adults, but generally speaking, he just wants peace. Like if you've ever, for your audience listening to this, if you ever grew up in a household like this where the man is there, the dad is there, or whoever the male figure is in the household, like he's physically there, but he's not mentally there. So he's sitting, he's on his recliner, he's watching TV, he might have some beers. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's physically there, but mentally he's not there.
Yeah.
He's disengaged. Why? Because there's no peace for him there. And again, going back to what Anton was saying, this opening up of communication, this helps with that harmony. Whether most men might not recognize it or think of it in that way, but it does, because you're able to come to conclusions about things together. You're able to, I should say, think outside of a box together. You're able to come up with things and goals and make sure everybody's on the same page without holding back and then it all coming out, in a way that may be considered nagging or irritating. Even if the man doesn't want to hear it at that particular moment, like Anton was saying, which is true, just go ahead and say it. He might even get a certain look at a man like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. But he still hears you. Trust me, he hears you. He hears you.
So
because you said it. If he cares about you, you said it. He hears you.
Right.
Ma?
I'm gonna say what I feel. I'm gonna give you your time, and then I'm gonna let you think about all that. Let me know when you're ready.
Yes.
That's respectful.
But at the same time, you have to be willing to give him that same freedom. You have to be willing to let him speak his piece or say what's on his mind openly and honestly, because in doing so, that creates the peace that James was just talking about.
Absolutely.
It can't be one-sided.
Exactly.
I agree. And Mr. Dennis, so this peace that you say that men want, so it's fair that, the women who are listening, who are dating, they can, in addition to those other questions that you were saying, ask during the dating phase, they can try to drill down on what peace really is to a man, because I think that's kind of vague.
It is vague.
Right?
It is vague, and that's because it really is different for every man.
Right.
But
right.
Generally what I mean by peace, I'm sorry to cut you off, but generally what I mean by peace is whatever creates the least amount of disruptions in that particular man's life. And that is different for every man. But men, generally speaking, they don't like a lot of drama going on. They don't want to try to always figure out what their woman's thinking or what's going on with their woman and what's going on with the kids. And then let me give you a brief example. And again, sorry to cut you off, but if a man has a hard day at work, when he comes home, sometimes he just wants to sit in silence just for a minute. He needs to decompress. You know what I'm saying? Like he had a hard day. He doesn't want to talk about it as soon as he walks through the door. Sometimes, most of the time. He just like, let me just sit down for a second and just, you know what I'm saying, get my mind back at being, man of the household. You know what I'm saying? Let me just give me a minute, But sometimes as soon as you walk through the door, the kids are coming up and then, well, how was your day, hon? And this. And sometimes women, you had a bad day too. So as soon as a man steps through the door, you're going in with, oh, this happened, and this happened, this happened. He's just like, yo, I just need a minute. I just need a minute, So to some men, that's kind of disruptive, To some men, might not be a big deal, but again, I'm just making general statements.
Right.
Some men, they just need that moment to kind of decompress and then get their mind back at, okay, I'm at home now. Let me deal with the household. So anything that disrupts that, if that continues, he's going to get a little irritated. And again, he might pull back. And then eventually you get to the point where you have, the dad on the recliner that's really not paying attention to anything. You know what I'm saying? Kids running around crazy. Woman like this, asking questions. He's like, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He's mentally not engaged because there's no peace for him.
Right.
Okay. All right. So I agree with you. I think women need to really, I think as a whole, men just need their time and space, and women need to respect that, period. Whether it's having an issue, whether they're not having an issue, they still need to have time and space to themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for women to understand, because women definitely want to be on their man all the time. That's just who we are. We love you guys.
I mean, like I said, it's that this woman's nature of union. You know what I'm saying? You want to be, and this is not just inclusive of your man, but you do want to have a very strong bond with your children. You want to have a strong bond with your friends. Male bonding, quote unquote, as they call it, it's just different. You know what I'm saying? It's just women have a different approach to these things. So, I mean, they even have, I guess it's a regular accepted thing now that men need man caves. Well, what the hell did they need a man cave for? Whether you want to accept it or not, sometimes it's just to get away from you, just for a little bit.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And be able to put his mind on whatever it is that he likes without any type of interruption. And that to him is still kind of finding that peace, even if it's just for that hour or whatever.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I know we gotta wrap this up. But when you said man cave.
Yeah, I don't like that term, but I mean that's what it's called.
But no.
Everybody's on the same page.
I got 2 more questions and I promise I'm done.
Right.
Okay, when you said the man cave, I get the man cave. I'm going in here, I'm closing this door. This means basically leave me the hell alone. I'm just trying to be at peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should there be any like red flags if he's just going in there all the damn time? Like, do you have to be in there just right after dinner? That's where you go all the time until it's time to go to bed. As soon as you come home, you go in your man cave. You wait till dinner, you eat dinner, and then you go back in the man cave. Like, where is the connection with the family or with me, even if we don't have kids? Where would that connection be? Where is the red flag in that? Because men do use that, and they're there all the damn time.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to the example I was given earlier, about the dad that's sitting there on the recliner all day. You know what I'm saying? Not engaged with what's going on in the household as a woman or his children. Yeah, that's definitely an issue. If that's where he spends the majority of his time, that's an issue.
Okay.
That is an issue. And that's something that you do need to bring up. Although he might not want to hear it at that particular moment, but it is something. He's more interested in what's going on, whatever, in his man cave than what's going on with you. You know what I'm saying? So now if you guys have things that you've enjoyed doing together, and although you might spend a lot of time in this man cave, but when it's time for you guys to do something that you guys enjoy doing together, he's, able to break away and engage and stuff like that. I wouldn't consider that a red flag as much, but definitely something that needs to be paid attention to.
Okay.
Because if you can't keep his attention, that's a problem. Right.
Okay. I'm going to let him close us out after the second question I said I had. And the second question was, so all the women want to know, where can they find men? We're in COVID. How can they, where should they go to find single men? And we've asked, of course, a few other guys this as well. So we just want to know, what are your thoughts on where these women who are struggling to find a good man, where can they go?
Right now, you're almost forced to be online right now. That you just genuinely don't care what's going on with the COVID. You know, I know some people that don't. You know what I'm saying? But if you just genuinely don't care, yeah, you're pretty much forced to go online. The thing with online is, again, you do have to be a little bit more cautious. Going back to what I was stating earlier, some guys, not a lot of them, but there are a handful of guys that are really good at faking the phone, and they can do it pretty damn good. So just be cautious. Just be cautious and take your time. I know women, like you were saying, and guys go this too. You know, you haven't had any in a while, and you're a little frustrated, and you're like, okay, well, we can get to know each other, but in the meantime, I need something. But unfortunately, adding sex into a potential relationship so early, sometimes it creates complications because there's a connection there that might not need to be there that early. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. That's good stuff. Okay, I'm done.
So going online would probably be the best advice that you could give them right now.
Yeah, right now, I don't think it's the best way to meet people. I'll say this: I have met actually my current woman. I actually met her online, and we've been together 3 years. So it's actually been 3 years. So it's possible, and I know somebody personally that met their current wife online. They've been together for 15 some years. So it's possible to meet quality people online.
Okay. Is there just to get one more tip from you before we wrap up? Is there a couple of probing questions that you would share with women so that when they're trying to find a guy online, they can ask these questions and it would kind of give them a good start to getting to know this guy? Do you have a couple of questions or maybe one question that they can ask?
Yeah, actually I do. First things first though, before you even get to the point where you message the guy or the guy messages you and you're choosing or not whether to respond, go to that guy's profile page. If you're on a dating website, go to that guy's profile page. You need to look at two things. Number one, his profile picture. And number two, you actually want, if the dating site allows, there should be like a little blurb, like about me or whatever, right? You want to read that. You can tell by the way, the picture that he chose and the profile, what he wrote, you can get an idea of it. This is bare minimum. Like I said, this is not always true, but you get an idea of the kind of personality this man has. You can tell if he's a little bit more aggressive. You can kind of get an idea if he's a little bit more passive. Mm-hmm. So a very passive way to write is what guys often do when they get on dating sites. Trust me, I talk to a lot of guys, is they go read a lot of women's profiles and they try to copy that. That is a very passive way to go about that because the man's not really expressing what he's looking for in himself. He's trying to sound very general, very plain. You know what I'm saying? There's no surety there. So, because he's just looking at other women's profiles, like, well, I want to sound interesting, so let me take a little bit of this from this woman's profile. Let me take a little bit of this from woman's profile, and then I'll throw a sentence in there. Like, hi, ladies. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very passive thing. And then the picture of the man, if he's at a distance, you know what I'm saying? Usually that's a guy that might potentially, this is just general. He might be a little, might not have a lot of confidence. He might be a little unsure. If it's just a picture of his car, you should already be able to know that this man values his possessions over him. If it's a man that's there and he looks like he just got out of jail, he got the jail face, the jail pose, he's trying to mean mug. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's the picture that he chose to represent himself with on a dating site. That's something that you need to keep in mind. Okay, this dude might not have a very outgoing personality. You know what I'm saying? If you see a man that's on there smiling, there. You see a man that, all you see is his chest. He ain't got no shirt on, and then his face, and he's over there flexing. Well, that's a guy that is looking for something. Why? Because he's trying to show you something that he deems might be attractive to you. So if that's not what you're looking for, a little fling, then potentially that is probably not a guy that you want to, approach serious.
Y'all hear that, ladies?
Mm-hmm. It's not a guy that you might not want to approach
physical attraction, and then you wonder why. Just saying.
Okay, so what's the question that you would share with them that they can, ask just to get a little bit of information from these men?
Very simple. I'm looking for this. What are you looking for? That's it. Now, the guy might lie. Okay, the guy might lie. If you might say that I'm looking for, and you might even have this on your profile, ladies. I'm looking for a serious relationship or whatever. If that's what you're looking for, let's just use that as an example. I'm looking for a very serious, committed relationship. So you message a guy, or a guy messages you, and you choose to respond after his profile, looking at his picture. It's like, okay, yo, like hello, I'm such and such, or whatever. And just to reiterate, you don't have to use that, say that, but I'm looking for this, this, and that. And what are you looking for? The length of how that man responds to that question should sometimes, don't take this as a hard rule, I'm just speaking in general, the length of which he answers that question lets you know possibly how much thought he's actually given in that area. Again, some men are very good at faking this. So read it. Don't take it as the gospel. You know what I'm saying? But if he just gives you one or two sentences, oh, I'm looking for a serious relationship too.
That's true. I can see that.
And he doesn't have a follow-up question for you, as an example. Well, what do you look for in a relationship? What are some of your expectations? The man has not really thought about it heavily. I'm just speaking in general. Some guys are not good at communicating online. Some guys just aren't. I speak to men. Some guys are not good in writing. So again, don't take this as gospel. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. If you ask him a question, because that's a pretty serious question, because you're looking for some type of future commitment. And if the man is not articulate enough, and he may not be, again, don't hold it against him, he might not be articulate, but if he's not showing that he wants to continue that line of discussion, he might not have given it that much thought. Just something to keep in mind, ladies.
All right. Yeah,
that's
that
good.
was
That's
great.
good.
That
The
was
ladies are going to be
great.
so appreciative when
Yes,
they listen to this.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. Mr. Dennis, will you tell our audience where they can find you if they want to get some more guidance from you? Where are some places they can find you online, or maybe your website or something like that?
Okay, definitely. Yeah, you can catch me at wjamesd.com, and that's WJAMES, just the letter D.com. And my website is directed very heavily towards men, so don't be offended or surprised by anything you may see on my website, because I do, like I said, spend a lot of time talking to guys. You can also email me if you just have any general questions about what was discussed here or any more detail or whatever. You can email me at wjamesdennis@gmail.com, WJAMESDENNIS@gmail.com. And for my books, you can just actually go to Amazon and just Google w.jamesdennis, and that'll pull up my books to really give you an idea of what I teach and kind of what I've been through and where I'm at now.
Ladies, have an open mind. Go to the website.
Yes, because like I said,
don't get mad, don't get angry.
Some women are like, oh my God. But when you understand where I'm coming from, if you take the time and you're open-minded to understand that, then a lot of what I said today, I hope will be sense.
All right.
Cool.
I think they will remember a lot of what you said. All right. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate this. I'm sure our audience will get a lot from what you said. And
I hope they do.
All right. And if it's okay with you, if our audience requests or make a request for you to return, will you be willing to return?
Oh, absolutely. Be my pleasure.
Okay. So that's good. All right, everybody. We hope you got something from this. We hope that you've got something that can make your life better. Star, is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, I just want to say thank you. I know the ladies are going to be very excited when they hear this one.
Right.
Good.
They probably will ask you to come back. So we'll let you know. And but no, thank you for joining us, and everyone that's listening. Again, we appreciate you. Go like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And we will talk to you again in another episode of Love Marriage Fantasy.
Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye.